playing back the track. This strange sounding thing has its roots in very simple music theory. This bass line clip here, of course, is just a D sharp 1 note, which is an E flat note. Then this piano part here is actually the notes that I gave you in the handout for the scale. What I've done is I've just moved them around. I moved them around in a random pattern. I didn't even know what it sounded like until just now. So I've got a clip here where I basically just move them around and it creates something which is in key. Sounds weird, but it's in key. I even made copies of this clip. So in this clip, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to turn it, there's a reverse. I will just reverse all the notes. I've reversed all the notes. And then reverse all the notes. So reverse all the notes. So I then get a pattern that sounds like this. It could sound much better, but this is an idea. This is, if you did not have music theory, this is basically, I'm using all the notes that I gave you in the handout, and I just move them around. So I encourage you to go and learn some music theory, but if you don't have, this is how you can actually get started with electronic music. And if you had added effects, you get to add effects.
Reverb.
Yes, let's put a reverb on this grand piano, right? The grand piano is crying out for reverb. Audio effects. Let's go to reverb. Put it in a nice room.
Is there already a reverb? Like setting the piano?
Better, right? Why don't I put a delay on it? Just for the heck, you know? Put a delay, one of these, clean delay, dotted eighth note. I ring too much trying, right? Oh, even on my bass I can put a delay. Put a but less dry wet, less feedback. Those who can't remember, watch last week's video. See, the bassline is more complex now. After you put together a whole bunch of these, at some point you have to decide, you know, it's about time I actually put it, balance everything out, because this is like, it's a real mess. So let's get to mixing, because we are coming down to the final part of what you have. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the I'm going to switch off all the tracks which I'm not using. So I'm not using 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11 I'm using. I use the hi-hat. And 15 I am using. And then I'm using 20. This will help me to see more clearly as I mix. I'm using this. Then I'm going to move them together. I can actually drag them. Drag 11. There. So you notice when it's on, I can actually see it more clearly, right? I'm going to take 15 and quickly drag it up, up, up. And this number 20, I'm going to drag it up. It auto renumbers. So, okay. Last one, 25, drag it up. So now I can see everybody next to one another. What I'm going to do is I'm going to loop this section because I'm going to mix with this section. In order to loop with this section, I need to highlight this verse 1, highlight it, right click, loop selection. You can see, right click, loop selection. So you will just keep on playing this thing over and over again. I'm then going to change my view to the session mode, the vertical one, which is the top right corner. You see this button here. There's a reason, because I'm going to actually pull all the volume levels down to nothing. Oops, sorry. I shouldn't have pulled down the master. The master wasn't supposed to go down. I now have all my tracks here available for me to mix. And I pulled everything right down to the bottom. This slider here is the volume control. And in order to mix, the best way to mix is by this thing called gain staging. I'm going to show you what is a very super basic introduction to gain staging, which is that I want to choose the most important instrument to me. And this being a dance version, I'm going to say that it's the house beat that's most important to me right now. And I'm going to bring it up to -12. So remember, it's still looping around, right? What's the next most important thing I want to match with this? It's my bass. Remember, I kept this thing at -12 so that it wouldn't overload the main mix, the main. And if it's too soft, you turn up your headphones. After the bass, to me, the most important thing next will be the vocal, which is here. So he's a bit soft. I'm going to do something. I'm going to add a utility. This is track 6. I'm going to add a utility which is audio effect. And I'm going to increase him by about 6 dB in the gain. Maybe more. Maybe 12. Then I bring up the other things. Piano, turn it up. If you see this thing, this is called a pan pot. I can actually decide to put the piano a bit to the side. Now it's only coming out on the left. Then I got the hi-hats. I've got this additional instrument here. I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to move it, use the pan pot, move it to the right. So this way, basically, I've actually balancing out. And if you look at the corner, at the master at the end, it's not overloading. I can bring it all the way to 0 and it won't overload. When you have finished balancing out, what you do is you switch off the loop and you go back to arrangement view. Then you can export this. What we did last week was we learned that if we can actually draw out, pull out these markers at the top and click on them, it'll select this entire section. I'm going to give a little bit extra space because my echoing ends tails off at the end. It doesn't stop exactly at that bar. And then I can do file, export audio, and I'm exporting the master channel, meaning everything that I hear. I'm also going to leave everything else as default. I'm going to export to a WAV file. I'm also going to export to MP3 file, so I've got 2 copies. And the simplest, I got too many folders. I'm just going to export to my desktop. And there we go. Then I'll upload this into the Google Drive and everybody can share it. So very quickly, it's been exported to WAV and MP3, and you can share these files. You can't share the Ableton Live entire project file with your friends because they don't have Ableton Live. They can't hear it. The only way they can hear it is if you file export to a WAV or MP3. And MP3, of course, will be much smaller than WAV. And this way, you can share your music with everyone. So that's about it. I do hope that everyone will try out. You really need to try. If you don't try, nothing goes in, right?
Sorry. Okay. I think Thomas was asking about like why did it sound kind of garbled? That's because Ben was exporting the audio, but Audio Movers is still on the end of the chain. So we were hearing Ableton like kind of scan through the file. So that's kind of like is a side effect of it. But typically when you export, I mean, because today for the purposes of demonstration, Ben has Audio Movers on the master chain. But typically when you export, you wouldn't have that, so you wouldn't even hear that. The only reason we are hearing that is because it's on Ben's master chain and it's going out to us. So yeah, that's just some explanation. And yes,
that's right.
Sample that and make sound design of it. Yeah.
Yeah, can we sample that?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Whoa, that's a great question. I've gotten so used to it. Yeah. So that's the sound of a song being exported.
Because the way that digital audio workstations work, they usually have 2 different modes for exporting songs. The traditional mode is kind of more akin to like old style studio recording where it will play through the track in real time, so you can hear the entire song. But like, let's say your track is 5 minutes long, you have to wait 5 minutes for it to export. But now because we have computers and all that, we have the power of a CPU, we don't actually have to wait the entire length. So the computer will just kind of like dedicate more CPU power to the exporting, and so it can export it within a few seconds. But when it does it in that way, it kind of creates those artifacts when you have like Audio Movers connected to the end. So that's kind of an explanation for that. Yeah. Yeah.
After you have done all this, then you can also do other funny things lah. Because let's see, I happened to accidentally I left this thing called the Aggressive Dance Master thing on your on the master channel, which I shouldn't have it there. So I'm going to switch it off so that it sounds. Oh, let's see what it sounds like. Okay, this is normal sound with aggressive dance master on. That's pretty aggressive, man. Wait, sorry, I got to mute everybody. Otherwise, the thing will feedback. So yeah, this is aggressive dance. But actually, when you mix, you shouldn't have this on because this will affect your hearing. And so there's so many funny things you can do, right? Let's say this beat, I could put in like automation of the EQ. There's this EQ that has like no low frequency. So many things that you can do just by putting effects on each of the channels. I mix it like this because it's easier to see the different levels one up next to another. But when you are actually arranging, go back to the arrangement view. So I've only got one verse and chorus here. This is like very, very basic. And like I said, I came to this choice that, okay, I'll do a club version at 122. But you can do any speed, any style you want. The main thing is do it. Just do it. And don't worry if you suddenly do it halfway, then I don't like it. Never mind. Just save another file name. Just keep on trying. Wow. And you'll have a folder full of 20, 30 different. Aaron, where got copyright strike? Walao, don't anyhow say copyright strike, especially to a copyright lawyer. So that's it. Everybody, please try.